us online at theaugustineteam.com. In this video, I wanted to talk a minute about the top mistakes that I see people make when they're buying their first home. And hopefully these tips will help you avoid some of them. So the first thing I'll see a lot of mistake I'll see a lot of people make when they're buying that first home is that they don't take into account potential life changes that are going to occur during their anticipated term of ownership. The second mistake I'll see them make is that they don't take into account the future marketability of the property they're buying. And then finally, I also see where people don't always rely on experts when it comes time to buy that home. So let's start with the first point. Nobody has a crystal ball, so you don't know what's going to happen for sure within the 5 to 7 years that you're going to be living in the first home that you buy. But you should have some kind of idea if there's going to be any sort of potential major career change, or maybe you're dating Mr. or Mrs. Right and it could get a little more serious, and at some stage in the game the two of you may live together, get married, have children, whatever be it the case. And so you do want to think through those things and just make sure you're not going to outgrow this property that you're buying too soon, because 5 to 7 years is, I'd say on average, probably the amount of time that the average person will stay in the first home that they buy. And it kind of takes about that much time to really start reducing the principal balance on the property and to see a decent level of appreciation where you're in a position to sell it and then move on with some equity to buy that second property. So really think through that. Don't think about just today. Think about where you're going to be 2 years down the road, 5 to 8 years down the road, and so on. Secondly, I don't always see where people take into consideration the future marketability of that property they're buying. And this is a big one. So, if you're buying a property, as an example, in a community that's managed by a homeowners association and you're already seeing signs of disrepair, you do have to ask yourself, what's it going to look like 3, 4, 5 years from now? Is the association on a path where they're starting to do some major renovations, or is none of that in the books because they're not well budgeted for and they're not going to have the money to be able to do it? So really think about that, because what the property is going to be 5 to 7 years from now is going to affect its marketability. Think about things like, is it in close proximity to a very busy road or to an industrial area, for example? The things that are holding it back from selling now are probably going to hold it back in the future, and they may worsen. So just take all those factors into consideration. And then finally, I'll just say, look, when you're buying anything, a house or any other product or service, chances are you're doing your research online, you're talking to friends who have been through it before, and you're doing this for a period of time before you're actually at the point where you're ready to make that purchase. And the same is true with a house. So listen, great place to gather information online, so on and so forth, but rely on experts when it comes time to buy that home. Make sure that the mortgage person you're talking to is somebody who knows products, is looking at your situation in its entirety. Hire a local agent that's an expert, who's doing a lot of business in the area, knows the inventory, and can give you some suggestions that maybe you're not thinking of to get you into a great home. And those are the tips I tell you, the things to avoid when you're buying that first house to make it a great experience, and also, more importantly, to set yourself up where you're going to be successful when it comes time to sell that property years down the road. Be sure to share this information with your friends, and also subscribe to our channel, and you can find more information on how to cross the bridge from renting to owning in our video series.